Good, good morning to all the students. In the last class, we have gone through the concept of searching, where we'll search an element from a given list of elements. We have two searching methods which are familiar. One is the linear search and second one is the binary search. We have gone through those searching algorithms, searching methods with an example each. And in today's session, we will discuss another important topic called as sorting. What do you mean by sorting? Anybody please answer what do you mean by what actually is sorting?
Arranging in order.
Yeah, it is a technique which is used to arrange the elements in order. What do you mean by order? Right, if it is an integer list of elements, then either you will arrange them in the ascending order or descending order. Right. Similarly, if it is a character or string, you will arrange those list of characters or list of strings in the alphabetical order.
Alphabetical.
So anything you arrange the list of elements in a particular order, either in the, it depends on the inputs you are giving to it, right? So either you arrange it in the ascending order or descending order in case of integers, and you arrange them in the alphabetical order in case of character or strings. Particular technique what we are using to arrange elements in order is called as sorting technique, right? We have n number of sorting methods. We are not going to deal all those methods. Right. So whatever we have in our syllabus, those things only we'll discuss, along with one simple sorting technique. Right. So I am going to discuss one simple sorting technique to let you understand what actually sorting is and how you are going to sort these elements and what are the basic idea behind these sorting elements. All these things we'll discuss. Right. So coming to our actual topic of discussion. Sorting algorithms are used to arrange random data into some order, right? So sorting is otherwise called as ordering. So sorting is based on a particular way, right? Similarly, collection of data is presented in a sorted manner, right? Whenever you want to present some list of data, then it is very much beneficial when you arrange those items in the sorting order. In daily life, we will come across a lot of sorting methods, right? Not sorting methods, lot of objects where the collection of elements are in the sorted manner. For example, if you take a dictionary, so the words in the dictionary are in the sorted manner. It is nothing but the alphabetical order. Similarly, you take files in a directory. In a computer system, you have some C drive, D drive, E drive, and you have a lot of folders inside these C drives and everything. Right? So if you open a folder, the files that are present inside the folder are also arranged in the sorted manner, alphabetical manner, and it depends, right? So like that, the files in a directory are also listed in a sorted manner. And the index of a book, you take the index of any book, it will be sorted in the alphabetical order. And many banks provide their statements. Even if you take the bank statement or monthly statement or 6 month statements or 1 year statement, financial year statement, whatever it may be. When you take a statement from a bank, the transactions that you have done up to that particular point of time are listed in the chronological order. Chronological order means it depends on time, right? So what you have done, what transactions you have done on 10th of this month, then you will have the transactions that are performed on the last day, that is 9th. Similarly, on 8th, what transactions you have performed. This is called as chronological order, right? So in the newspaper, the calendar of events in a schedule is generally sorted by date. Right. Similarly, the musical compact disc. Right now, we don't have these CD shops and everything. But in olden days, we used to have the CD shops where the CDs are arranged in a sorted order based upon the alphabets, right? So when you want to list out the, or when you want to find the music that is given by Davis Sri Prasad, then you can go to the D folder, right? You can go to D folder since the Davis Sri Prasad starts with D. Similarly, when you want to search for the compact disc or the songs which are given by S.P. Balasubramanian, so they are arranged in S, alphabetical order S, right? So like that, we have a lot of applications that we come across in our daily life which are sorted in order, right? Well, if you go to the library, if you have gone to the library in our university, you might have observed that the books which are present in the library, which are present in the racks of the library, they are arranged in the alphabetical order, or they may be arranged based upon the branch. Right. For example, if you want to search for the civil engineering department books, then you may have racks that are present that are labeled with civil department. Similarly, if you want to get the books from the ECE, there are racks that are labeled with ECE. So you can directly go to the ECE rack and you can search for the books. And sometimes the books in the racks are also arranged in the alphabetical order, right? So this is how we find a lot of applications where the list of elements are arranged in the sorted order. So why do we require this sorting? Why do we require this sorting? Means in the previous example, while in the previous discussions, we have seen one example of selecting a best data structure. That is how the algorithm is going to perform when we take a sorted list of elements, which is called as ordered array of records. How this ordered array of records is going to perform well than the unsorted list of elements or array of records in terms of search operation, right? So when you find, as an example, we have discussed the contact list of a phone book, right? So imagine finding a phone number of your friend in your mobile phone. If they are in the sorted order, for example, I want to search for a contact number of Satya. So I can directly press the S letter so that I will get the list of contacts that are stored under this S alphabet. So I can simply search for the Satya contact details, right? So if the phone book is not arranged in a sorted order, then you have to do a linear search. You have to do a linear search, which involves a lot of tasks and a lot of comparison operations you have to perform. This particular thing, the linear search efficiency, all these things we have discussed in the last class, right? There is no doubt about it. So whenever you arrange some records in the sorted order, then as I told that there are some operations which the performance will increase, right? So for example, search operation on a sorted array of records will be very efficient than the search operation on the unsorted array of records. So this is the reason why we need some techniques which sort the elements or which arrange the elements, random list of elements in a ordered manner, right? So this is all about the introductory part. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And this is very important. As I told that we have some n number of sorting algorithms. And if somebody questions you, what is the best sorting algorithm? There is a particular answer, but whenever you want to give the correct answer, then you should say that a particular sorting algorithm is not perfect or is not optimized in all the situations, right? So it depends on the application or it depends on the scenario where you are using this sorting algorithm. So we can say, give an answer that no sorting algorithm is best in all the cases. This is the perfect answer you can give it for anybody, right? But as a CSE student, if you go to any interview and if somebody asks you what is the best sorting algorithm, you should not say all these things. Right? Some people may like this type of answer, some people they won't like this type of answer. So we have a direct answer where one of the best sorting algorithm is the quick sort algorithm, right? One of the fastest. It's not the best, it is the fastest, right? one of the fastest algorithm is the quicksort. The name itself is given by the efficiency of the quicksort algorithm. But it, as I told that, it is not the best in all the cases, or it is not the fastest in all the cases, right? So it depends on the situation where you are using the sorting algorithm. So you keep it in mind that no sorting algorithm is best in all the cases. No sorting algorithm is best or fast in all the cases. This is the important point we have to remember. And as I told that any algorithm you take, the performance of any algorithm is based on two metrics. One is the space complexity and another one is the time complexity. And time complexity, this we have defined as the time that the computer takes to run an algorithm. Similarly, the space complexity is defined as the amount of memory the computer needs to run that algorithm. These two definitions we are very much clear, right? Right. And one more important thing, as I told that out of these two parameters or out of these two metrics, the space complexity and time complexity plays very important role in identifying the efficiency of the algorithm. And one more thing is, it is not the actual clock time we are going to measure. It is the number of operations that is being that we are going to perform using by that algorithm. And similarly, the number of inner loops, the number of outer loops, all these things are considered to be the important metrics for the time complex, or important factors for this time, measuring this time complex, right? And as I told that there are no simple, these are all the, sorry, so these are not all the factors that judge the efficiency of the time complexity. So there are some internal factors and there are some external factors which affect the efficiency or which judge the efficiency of the algorithm or the time complexity of the algorithm. Right. So in general, the complexity in general, it measures the algorithm's efficiency in internal factors such as, so as I told that the complexity is again based on internal factors, and it also depends on the external factors, right? So the internal factors are the time needed to run the algorithm. This is a straightforward thing which gives the definition of the time complexity, right? So the internal factor on which the time complexity of an algorithm depends is the actual time needed to run the algorithm, right? But not only the algorithms depend on these internal factors, they also depend on the external factors. Let us see what these external factors are, right? So it depends on the size of the input of the algorithm. So for example, you take one sorting algorithm. Let us take the simple sorting algorithm, which is a bubble sort. Assume that you have given 10 elements as the input. This is my bubble sort algorithm. I have given the input as 10 elements. And assume that the total time taken to sort out these 10 elements is 10 milliseconds. This is just an assumption, right? What happens to the total time that is taken by this algorithm to sort this list of elements when I give 100 elements? As the time increases or decreases, or it remains the same?
Increases, sir.
Increases. Similarly, if you give 1000 elements,
Yes,
the
sir.
time taken to sort these 1000 elements will increase, right? Similarly, the speed of the computer, right? So I have one algorithm called bubble sort, and I have taken the input as 100 elements only, but I try to run this bubble sort algorithm on a P3 system. P3 means Pentium 3, which is a older version of the processor, which has very less speed, or P2, P1, all these things are there, right? Try to execute this particular sorting algorithm with 100 elements as the input on P3 system. Assume that the time taken to sort these elements is 20 milliseconds. Now you take a 8-core octa-core processor, right? And you try to execute this bubble sort algorithm with the same number of elements. Don't try to change the number of elements. The same inputs and the same conditions and the same environment you take, except you try to execute the algorithm on different processors. One processor is running at very less speed, and another processor is having the very high speed. So what happens to the time complexity, or what happens to the total time that is taken by this algorithm on octa-core system? Does it increase or does it decrease?
Decrease.
So it
Decrease,
will
sir.
So it will definitely decrease to 5 milliseconds. So the speed of the processor or the speed of the computer also affects the efficiency of the algorithm, right? And similarly, the quality of compiler. You try to run the program using one compiler, and you try to run the same algorithm using different compiler. The total time taken to give the output may vary, right? So these are some of the external factors on which the sorting algorithm depends. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. As we have discussed that there are different types of sorting algorithms, and basically we will discuss these things: bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, quick sort, mid sort, heap sort, radix sort, shell sort. All these things are there. Other than this, we have so many other sorting algorithms. But in our syllabus, I think we have this selection sort, insertion sort, quick sort, and mid sort. I don't know whether heap sort is given or not. Let us check, right? So other than these sorting algorithms, I am going to discuss one simple sorting algorithm which is called as bubble sort algorithm. So in our syllabus or in our discussions, we are going to discuss these 5 sorting algorithms. So if some sorting algorithms are there, other than these 5, we will also discuss this. Right. So the first thing we are going to discuss is the bubble sort, and then we'll move to the selection sort, and then the insertion sort, and then followed by quick sort, and then mid sort. Right. So coming to the bubble sort, listen carefully. This is where we are starting our sorting algorithm. The first sorting algorithm that I am going to discuss is the bubble sort algorithm. We'll see how this name for this sorting algorithm has been given. Why it has given as bubble means. So the idea depends on the bubble that we see in a glass of water. So assume that we have a glass of water like this, and assume that there are some bubbles here like this. Right. So when you simply disturb this particular glass of water, you can see that these bubbles will move from the bottom of the glass to the brim of the glass like this. That is there. Is it right or not? So if you observe the bubble sort algorithm, the same thing happens. The same thing happens means the largest element which is present in the array will be moved to the end of the array, right? And it appears as if the largest element is moving such a way that the bubble is moving to the brim of the water glass, right? Is it clear up to this point? Don't remember all these things, right? Why the name has been given as bubble sort? All these things they will not ask in the examination point of view, but it is just for understanding purpose. Why the name has been given as bubble, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
and the basic idea, this is very important for each and every sorting algorithm we are going to discuss, right? So the basic idea I didn't mention in this slide. The basic idea behind the bubble sort is, listen carefully, you have to compare the adjacent elements. You have to compare the adjacent elements and swap if necessary. We'll see it with an example, don't worry. Right. What is the basic idea behind bubble sort? Compare the adjacent elements and swap if necessary. A simple statement. Right. What do you understand by this term? You have to compare the adjacent elements. Okay, I will compare the adjacent elements. And if they are out of order, they're out of order, then you have to swap them. What do you mean by out of order? For example, if I am arranging the list of elements in the ascending order, right? Assume that the adjacent elements are 15 and 10. I compare this 15 and 10. Are they out of order or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Out
Because
of order.
my ordering method is ascending order. That means lowest to highest. Lowest to highest, ascending order means. So when I compare this 15 and 10, 15 is coming before 10, which is out of order for the ascending order. So in such cases, you have to swap them. So you swap these two values. So like this you will do, right? So after swapping, you will get the elements as 10 and 15. So the idea behind this bubble sort is very simple. You make a comparison between the adjacent elements and you swap them if they are out of order. That's it, right? So if you follow this procedure, if you repeat this simple step, then in the final stage, you will get a list of elements which are in the sorted order. Right. Now let me put a question to you. What is the data structure that is used to implement these sorting algorithms? Any idea on it?
Array.
Yes, sir.
Right. Why? Because the sorting algorithm is a technique which is used to arrange the list of elements in an ordered manner. List of elements. Whenever you come across the term list of elements, then it is obviously you can take it as an array, right? And let me go with an example. So what are the steps we need to follow for the sorting algorithm? The basic steps remains the same. The first thing is you have to declare an array, and then second step is you have to prompt the user to enter the size of the array. The step 3 is you have to prompt the user to enter the number of elements into the array. And what is step 4? Anybody? So the first 3 steps remain the same. Declare an array, prompt the user to enter the size of the array, and you read the values from the user and store it in the array. And step 4 is nothing but you implement the algorithm based upon the basic idea which we have discussed. So assume that these are the list of elements that are given to me. And where should I store these elements?
Array, sir.
Inside an array, right? And as you know that the array concept in C programming language, we have the concept of indexes or indices, not indexes, it is indices, right? The array index always starts with 0 and ends with n minus. How many total elements I have taken right now?
8.
8 elements. What is the basic idea behind the bubble sort algorithm?
Compare the adjacent elements.
Compare adjacent elements.
Compare adjacent elements and sort if
That's right.
sort if they are out of order, right? So what are the first 2 adjacent elements? It is the element which is present inside this index 0 and the element present inside this 1, right? So you compare 9 and 6. You compare 9 and 6. Are they out of order? Assume that we are always arranging the elements in the ascending order. Whatever sorting algorithm we are going to discuss, assume that we always do it in the ascending order. Right. Now you tell me, you compare the element 0 and the element pointed by index 1. So 9 and 6 are compared. Are they out of order or in the same order?
Out of order.
Out of order.
So what you have to do if they are out of order?
Swapping. Swap the elements.
You have to swap the 0th index element with the first index element. So what is the next one we get? So after sorting, we will get the elements as 6, 9, 2, 12, 11, 9, 3, and 7. Right. Now tell me what are the 2 elements we have to compare now?
0 and 2, sir. I mean 9 and
It's
6.
not 0 and 2. 0 and 2 are not adjacent. Adjacent means they should lie beside, side by side.
1 and
Right.
2, sir.
Super, right. You have to compare 1 and 2. Right? Is it clear? You should not compare 0 and 2. Why? Because you can either compare it with, you have to always compare it with the adjacent element. The adjacent element of 0 is 1 only, index, right? So after you make necessary modifications with 0 and first element, the next thing you have to compare is you have to compare the element with index 1 and index 2. Right? So now tell me, are they, what is index 1? You should not take the previous list of elements. Now the new list of elements is this one. Now tell me what are the elements you need to compare.
9 2, sir.
9 and 2.
9
sir.
and 2, sir.
So you have to compare the elements 9 and 2. Tell me either they are in the order or out of order.
Out of order, sir.
Out of order. So you swap these elements. So the new list of elements will be 6, 2, 9, 12, 11, 9, 3 and 7. Now tell me what are the elements you have to compare.
9, 9, 12.
9 12, sir.
That means clearly saying we have to compare the elements that are present in the second index and third index, right? So you compare 9 and 12. Are they out of order or in the same order?
Order. In order.
Same order.
In the
In
order.
order, sir.
Therefore, there is no need for the swapping at this point of time, right? So the list remains the same. It is 6, 2, 9, 12, 11, 9, 3 and 7. Now tell me what are the elements you have to compare.
12, 11.
12 and 11. So the swapping is required or not?
Required.
Required, sir.
Therefore, you swap these two elements. Now, what are the two elements you have to compare?
12 and 9.
12 and 9, sir.
12 and 9. Do they require swapping or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, they require the swapping, right? So you swap these elements. Now, what are the elements you have to compare? 12 and 3. Since they are out of order, you swap them. So it becomes 6, 2, 9, 11. What is this one?
9, sir. 9.
9 rather.
Sir.
It's 12, right?
Sir, 2 9s ఉన్నాయి కదా, sir.
2 9s.
2 9s పెట్టాను, sir.
And it is 3, 12 and 7. Now you have to compare this 12 and 7. Since they are out of order, you swap them. So this becomes 6, 2, 9, 11, 9, 3, 7 and 12. Now are there any elements to compare right now? No. Why? Because you have reached the end of the list, right? So this entire operations is considered to be the first iteration. Right. So at the end of the first iteration, you can observe that the largest element, what is the largest element in this list given? It is 12. So the largest element comes to the end of the array. Right. We try to move the elements to the end of the array, which is the right hand side. Right. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Now you go for the second iteration. Again, start with 0th index and first index. So at the end of the first index, the list of elements that we got is in this manner, right? So this is 0th index, 1, first index, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and now you again start the second iteration with 0 and first, 0th element and first element. Right, that is 6 and 2. Again, perform the same operation. It becomes 2, 6, 9, 11, 9, 3, 7. So at the end of the second iteration, what happens is the second largest element, that is 11, will be placed as the second element from the right hand side. Right. So you continue this process until all the elements are in the sorted order. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Till Just give me 1 minute. Right. So here I'm just repeating it. We have to compare the 9 and 6. Since they are out of order, you swap them. So the second list we got is 6, 9, 2, 12, 11, 9, 3 and 7. Similarly, then you compare 9 and 2. Since they are out of order, swap them. And compare 9 and 12. Since they are in the same order, there is no need to swap these elements. Now you go for the comparison of 12 and 11. So since they are out of order, swap them. Compare 12 and 9, out of order, swap them. Compare 12 and 3, out of order, swap them. And compare 12 and 7, out of order, swap them. So this is the end of first iteration, or first pass. You can say it as first pass. So that at the end of first pass, what happened is the largest element in the given list of elements, which is nothing but 12, is pushed to the end of the array. Is pushed to one end of the array, and that particular 12 is in the correct position right now. Is it right or not? So the largest element should always be at the rightmost part. So we try to move the largest element to rightmost part, and we are successful in moving the element to the rightmost part after the first pass. Right. Now you go for the second pass. In the second pass, you compare the first element with the second element. 6 and 2 are compared. Since they are out of order, swap them, and then you compare 6 and 9. Since they are not in out of order, you just leave like that. 9 and 11, not in the out of order, leave it. 11 and 9, out of order, swap. 11 and 3, out of order, swap. 11 and 7, out of order, swap. And now tell me whether you have to compare the 11 and 12 or not.
No, sir.
No, why? Because in the first pass, we have made the largest element to be placed at the last position. So the position of 12 is correctly the 12 is correctly positioned in the last place, right? So even though you compare this 11 and 12, there is no change, right? Why? Because since they are not in the out of order position, you are not going to swap them, right? So there is no need to compare the last element. So after completion of first pass, since you have moved the largest element to the last position, there is no need to consider this element for the second pass. So you consider it, there is nothing wrong in it, right? But the time complexity may increase, because if you don't consider this 12 for the second pass, then you are able to make only 1, 2, 3, 6 comparisons. Otherwise, if you consider this 12 for the second pass also, you are making 7 comparisons, right? So one comparison you are increasing for the second pass. When you increase the comparisons, then the complexity automatically increases, right? As I told that the complexity, the time complexity of any algorithm depends on the basic operation. Here the basic operation is comparison and swapping. Right? So in order to reduce the number of comparisons, whenever you position an element in the correct place, then for the next pass, we are not going to consider that element for the operations or for the sorting method, right? So after first pass, the 12, the largest element has been placed as the last element. Therefore, we won't consider this 12 for the comparison operation in the second pass. What happens after the second pass? What happens after second pass?
Second largest element will be.
Next largest element will be placed at the last, sir.
Super. The next largest element will be, the next largest element is 11, which will be placed at the last but one position. But we should not take it as the last but one position. We should consider it as the last position. Why? Because as I told that after first pass, we are not going to consider this 12 for the next iteration. Right. So consider that this is not there. So we are going to place the largest element in the last position. That is what we are going to say, right? But actually, we are going to place the second largest element in the second position from the right hand side. Okay. So what happened after this 11, the 11 element has occupied its correct position. Now, tell me whether we need to consider this 11 for the third pass.
No, sir.
No, even though you consider nothing wrong in it, you just have to change some logic. That's it. Even though you consider nothing wrong in it, but the time complexity of the algorithm implemented by not considering will be better than the time complexity of the algorithm by considering the elements which are in the correct position. Right. So in the third pass, how many elements are left over here? So we need to consider only these 6 elements for the third pass. Is it right or not? Now in the third pass, compare 2 and 6. Since they are in the same order, leave them. 6 and 9, same order, leave them. 9 and 9, same order, leave them. 3 and 9, now they are out of order. Therefore, swap it. 9 and 7, they are out of order. Swap it. So after this third pass, the 9, which is the largest element in the 6 elements, is placed as the last element, and this is the correct position that it has been occupied. Therefore, for the next pass, that is for the fourth pass, we are not going to consider this 12, 11, and 9. So for the fourth pass, how many elements are to be considered?
5 elements.
5 elements.
5 elements, sir.
So 2, 6, since they are in the same order, no swapping. 6 and 9, same order, no swapping. 9 and 3, they are out of order, swap. 9 and 7, out of order, swap. So after the fourth pass, the fourth largest element occupies the fourth position from the right hand side. So for the fifth pass, we are not going to consider these elements. This is an optimized bubble sort algorithm. If it is not optimized, as I told that, you just pass on the comparison operations, or you just compare the elements from the first to the last. Nothing to worry about, right? So we are not going to consider these 4 elements. Now for the fifth pass, we are left with only 4 elements, that is 2, 6, 3, and 7. Now for the fifth pass, compare 2 and 6. Since they are in the same order, no swapping. Compare 6 and 3, out of order, swap. 6 and 7, same order, no swap. 7 and 9. 9 is also there, right? So that is the end of the fifth pass. Right. After the end of fifth pass, you can observe that the 7, which is the largest element of that subarray, has been occupied its current position. So we are not going to consider these list of elements from 7, 9, 9, 11, 12 for the next pass. So how many elements are left over in the sixth pass? Only 2, 3, and 6. Right. Now let us go with the sixth pass. Compare 2 and 3, same order. Compare 3 and 6, same order, no swapping. Right. Now look at this one. Now 6 has been occupied its position correctly. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir.
Now from 6, 7, 9, 9, 11, and 12, we are not going to consider it for the next pass. Now the question is whether we need to perform the next pass or you can simply skip it. Right. Listen carefully. So in the sixth pass, if you consider the sixth pass, First we have compared 2 and 3. They are in the same order, no swapping. Compared 3 and 6, they are in the same order, no swapping, right? So in the total 6th pass, are there any swapping operations that have been performed?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So if no swap operations have been performed in a particular pass, what does it mean? That means the elements are in the same order and no elements are in the out of order. So is there any need to go to the next pass? No, right?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
So you will end the algorithm. You will try to end the algorithm whenever you find a pass or whenever you find an iteration where there are no swap operations has been occurred. Right. Therefore, even though 6 has been placed in the correct position, you are not going to perform the next pass or you are not going to perform the next iteration. Why? Because in the 6th pass itself, I found that there are no swap operations. Whenever there are no swap operations, I can assume that all the elements are in the are in the correct positions. So whenever they are in the correct positions, there is no need to go for the next iteration or next pass, right? Right. You can go for the next pass also, but what happens? The efficiency of the algorithm will be decreased, right? So in order to write an optimized bubble sort algorithm, what we are doing is at each and every pass, since we are placing the largest element at the last position or in the correct position, we are not going to consider it for the next passes. This is the first modification that I have performed, right? First optimization. And what is the next optimization I have used? The next optimization which I have used is I am going to stop my iterations or I am going to stop my algorithm whenever I found an iteration which does not perform any swap operations, right? So these are the 2 steps I am following to make a normal bubble sort algorithm as an optimized algorithm. So no, don't worry about this optimized or unoptimized. Why I'm explaining this bubble sort is this is a very simple algorithm and the program is also very simple. You have to use a looping construct, that's it. We know how to swap 2 elements and we know how to use loops. So by using one looping construct or by using the looping constructs, you can simply perform this bubble sort algorithm. It's a very easy algorithm and very easy to learn, very easy to understand, very easy to code also. These are the advantages we have. But the disadvantage of this bubble sort is not that much efficient. Is not that much efficient. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is not that much efficient algorithm, but remember that this bubble sort is efficient whenever we have small number of elements. That means the list of elements which I am going to consider for the bubble sort. If they are less, then the bubble sort is very, then the bubble sort performs very well, right? And as you know, as I told that the algorithm implementation and the coding is very much easy. Therefore, people prefer this bubble sort algorithm whenever we have some simple list of elements. There is a very few list of elements, right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And this particular slide is very important. You should always remember the running time or the time complexities of all the sorting algorithms. So I discuss it in the classroom or not. I just want to give these things as a homework for you, right? So the running time or the worst case running time of this bubble sort is big O of n square and the best case is big O of n, right? So there exists another variant which is called as bidirectional bubble sort. Bidirectional, what do you understand by this term bidirectional?
Arranging the least element and greatest element at a time.
Yeah, it operates in both the directions, right? So one thing you do, you use for loop for moving from LHS to RHS, and another loop, another looping constructs you will use for moving the pointer from RHS to LH. Right. Right. That is all about our bubble sort algorithm, which is very easy to code, which is very easy to learn and understand also. Is it clear? Any doubts?
No doubts, sir.
Right.
No, sir.
So we'll move to another sorting algorithm and we'll start after completing this selection. The another sorting algorithm which I am going to discuss is the selection sort. Right. So what do you understand by this selection sort? Selection sort. The name itself is saying that selection. So the maximum mathematics, the names of the sorting algorithms are given by the procedure which you are following. By the procedure which you are following to sort the list of elements, right? So, but except the bubble sort. Bubble sort is something that is different, where the name has been given based upon the procedure. That means how the bubble moves from the bottom of the glass to the brim of the glass. That is how the name is given. But remaining algorithms, or remaining sorting algorithms, most probably they will be given the names based upon the procedure we are following. Right? So what do you understand? Now tell me what you understand by this selection sort. Simple.
Sorting the elements by selection. Selecting the elements. And then
So
sorting.
the sorting algorithm is based on the selection procedure. What you are going to select? You are going to select the best element. What do you mean by best element? Either it
Smallest
is a
or
smallest
largest.
element or largest element. So this is the selection sort method, right? And the procedure which you are going to follow. As I told, what is the basic idea of bubble sort?
Comparing the adjacent elements and swapping.
Compare the adjacent elements and swap if necessary. Right, super. Right. And the basic idea behind this selection sort is you select the best element. The best element can be either the smallest or the largest element, and you move it to one position or you move it to one end of the sorted group. That is the basic idea behind this selection sort. Is it clear? And you have to repeat this process until the entire list of elements becomes sorted. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So select the best element. That best element can be either the smallest or largest, and you repeat this process until all the elements. After selecting the best element, what you have to do? You have to move it to one end of the array. If it is the smallest element that you have selected, you have to move it to the leftmost part. Right? Listen carefully. So this is my list of array we have. I have some n number of elements. So this is called as leftmost end and this is called as rightmost end. So if I follow ascending order, as I told that, remember that we are going to discuss only the ascending order. Descending order means you just have to modify the operator, that's it. Instead of greater than, you make it as less, whatever it may be. Depends on logic, right? So this is called the leftmost end of the array and this is called the rightmost end of the array. And what is that order we are following? We are following the ascending order, right? Now tell me, if I select the best element as the smallest element, I am saying that you have to move that smallest element to the left hand side. Is it true or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you select the best element as the largest element, you have to move that largest element to the rightmost end, right? So if I follow the reverse order, let me assume that I am going to give you the algorithm in the descending order. Now tell me, if the best element is smallest, where you have to move?
Rightmost end. Right, sir.
Right, when the best element is the smallest element that you are selecting, you have to move that element towards its rightmost end. And if the best element is largest, where you have to move?
Left. Left.
Left.
How to move that largest element to the leftmost, right? This is how you implement the thing, right? And this particular step, selection of best element and placing it at one part of the array or one end of the array, is to be repeated n number of times until all the elements get sorted. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now we have some six elements. These are the list of elements that are given. You take the indexes as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you people told that the best data structure to implement any sorting algorithm is array. Why? Because we are going to take the list of elements from the user, and the list of elements are nothing but arrays, list of common data type elements. Therefore, we will consider only arrays for implementing the sorting techniques. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So there are only two steps. One is select the best element and place it to one end of the array and move it to one end of the array. And what is step 2? Repeat this step. Repeat step 1 until all the elements get sorted. Right. So now let us see. These are the list of elements that are given to me, and I want them to be arranged in the ascending order. Ascending order means smallest to largest. Right. Now the first step is I have to select the best element. Choice is yours, whether we will select the largest or smallest.
Largest, sir.
So let us take the largest element. So our aim is to select the largest element. So we will start. Have you written the program of finding the largest element in the array?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
May I know the logic what we have used?
ఏదో ఒక స్టార్టింగ్ ఎలిమెంట్ ని ముందు లార్జెస్ట్ అనుకుని కాకపోతే స్వాప్ చేయమంటాం.
We will take a largest element, largest variable, int large. Let me take like that, and we will assign it to the first element. Let us take the array name as A. So we will assign it to the first element. So what is that largest is stored in this one, in this example? So I
Five,
have
sir.
assigned A of
Five,
this. This one, it becomes 5. For I is equal to 1, I plus I less than or equal something, I plus plus. Now what you will do is you will compare the largest element with the other elements of the array. Now you compare 5 with 1. Right? 5 with 1 means 5 with A of 0. Compared with A of I, where I ranges from 1 to 5 here. Right? So you compare the largest value with A of 1 right now. So 5 compared with 1. Which one is largest?
I, sir.
5. Therefore, you leave it like that. Go to the next element. 5 compared with 3. 5 is largest. Leave it like that. 5 compared with the next element, that is 4. 5 is largest. Leave it. Now compare 5 with the next element, which is 6. Now 6 is the largest. So whenever you find a largest element in the array, then the variable largest, what you will do is you will simply override the largest element with the large element which you found in the array. So 5 is overwritten with 6. Now what is the value that is present inside this largest?
6, sir.
Right. Now compare with 6 with the next element 2. Again you have the largest element as 6. So once you traverse through the array, and whatever you find in the largest, that will be the largest. So what is the largest element that is found here? 6. So after finding the largest element, you have to move that largest element and at 5, index 5. So you swap the element 6 with the last element which is located at 5th index, right? So you swap 6 and 2. This is how you perform This is how you perform the selection sort. So once you have made this largest element to be moved to the end of the array, right? What happens here? That means 6 has been, let us see here. So this is 6 and this is. So the 6 has been occupied its correct position. Now the 6 is in the correct position. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you perform the selection sort for the remaining element. So these are the list of remaining elements 5, 1, 3, 4, and 2. Now you again find the largest element, that is 5, and you have to what you have to do? What is the largest element in the second iteration?
5.
What is it? It is 5. Largest is equal to 5. You have to move this largest element to the end of the array. What is the last element of the array? 2. So you swap this 2 with 5. Okay. Now what is the next list we have? It is 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Already these 2 has been occupying the correct occupied the correct position. So forget about this. Forget this. Okay. Now you have to find the largest element. What is the largest element? I told you the logic, right? I am not going to according to the logic. Or else you can go for the according to the logic also. You take the largest as 2, compare it with the next element. 2 compared with 1. Since 2 is greater, keep it like that. Again 2 compared with 3. Since 3 is greater than the largest value, you have to override this largest value with 3. Therefore 2 is changed to 3. Again compare the largest value with 3. 3 is compared with 4. Since 4 is greater than 1, greater than 3, you have to modify the largest value from 3 to 4. Now at the end of this iteration, the 4 is found to be the largest value, and since it occupies nothing to swap, right? Similarly, after this, you select the best element from 2, 1, and 3. 3 is the largest element, nothing to swap. After you find that 3 is the largest element, since it is the last element of the subarray, nothing to swap, right? Now next iteration, 2 and 1, find the largest element. 2 is the largest element. Now you swap 2 with 1, right? So it becomes 1 and it becomes. So by this, you have made the list of elements to be sorted in the ascending order. This is the logic behind the selection sort. Do you understand this problem? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
Just
sir.
give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. So let us see. So 5 has been taken in the largest one, and 5 is compared with 1, nothing to do. 5 is compared with 3, nothing to do. 5 is compared with 4, nothing to do. 5 is compared with 6, right? Now we have found that 6 is the largest value. Now what you have to do? We have to swap this 6 with the last element. Therefore, we have moved 6 and 2. Right. Now at this point, the 6 has occupied the correct position, so nothing to consider. 6 should not be considered for the other iteration, right? Now you go with the subarray 5, 1, 3, 4, and 2. 5 pass on, and you find that 5 is the largest element. So 5 should be swapped with the last element, that is 2. Like this you have. Now the list of elements. Now you can consider that 5 and 6 has been occupied its correct position. So leave it. For the remaining sub-array of elements 2, 1, 3, 4, find the largest element. 4 is the largest element, and it should be swapped with the last element. Since 4 is the last element, nothing to swap. Right. Now you consider the sub-array 2, 1, and 3. Find the largest element. I found that 3 is the largest element, and you have to swap it with the last element of the subarray. Since 3 is the last element of the subarray, nothing to swap. Now out of 2 and 1, 2 is found to be the largest element. Swap it with the last element, right? This is done. Right. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is the end of our today's session. We have gone through the sorting techniques. We have discussed what a sorting technique is. We have gone through the various real-time examples where we come across these sorting techniques and why we require these sorting techniques. Why we require these sorting techniques means it makes some of the operations increase their performance. Right? The efficiency of some of the operations may increase because of this sorting technique. There are a lot of sorting techniques like bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, quick sort, merge sort, heap sort, bucket sort, radix sort. All these things are there, but according to our syllabus, we are going to discuss only the bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, quick sort, and merge sort. If heap sort is there, we'll also discuss. That's nothing. Right? And in today's session, we have discussed what bubble sort and what selection sort. A bubble sort, the basic idea behind the bubble sort is compare the adjacent elements and swap if they are out of order. Simple, right? And you repeat this step until all the elements get sorted. And the idea behind the selection sort is, as the name suggests, you have to select the best element. The best element can either be the largest or the smallest. And after finding the best element, you have to move that element. The best element should be moved either to the front of the array or to the end of the array. It depends on the logic which you are going to include. Right? And when you place the largest element or the smallest element at one part of the array, you repeat the same step until all the elements get sorted. So these are the things we have discussed, and this is the end of today's session. Thank you, one and all.